Hi, I'm Peter, and I'm the interviewer for Anna, and Anna's name is a nom de plume. And we just want to thank you for coming, Anna, and we want to thank the audience for listening to us. We think that we have a very important story. Anna, can you tell us what are your dreams, passions, gifts, and interests?
Okay. Yes, my name is Anna, and I live in the UK now. I've lived here for about 20 years, and I was adopted to Sweden as a 3-month-old baby. So I lived in Sweden for 26 years before moving here. So my dreams, I think it is just to be, well, it's for my children to be happy and successful in life. And yeah, I think that is my main dream, and for them to have a good life and to find a career they enjoy and that they can thrive at, and to do well in school, of course, first because they're all in school. I have 3 children, by the way. And my passions. Well, I really enjoy going on holiday and planning holidays. I think the planning is nearly as fun as the holiday itself. So I spend quite a lot of time doing that. And I enjoy reading Swedish novels and watching Swedish TV series. Yeah, and then my gifts. Well, I'm reasonably gifted in music. I used to play some musical instruments when I was growing up. I played the piano and the flute, and I have sung in lots of different choirs, mainly gospel choirs. And I'm also reasonably good at languages. So I study languages at university, and I speak English, Swedish, and French. I did a bit of German too, but I don't really speak it. And yeah, I'm glad that I can use my languages in my job on a daily basis. Yeah. And then the last question was what my interests are. And well, I don't have a lot of spare time because I work full time and I have 3 children and a house. So yeah, so I don't have a lot of spare time. But the little time that I have, I love reading novels or just relaxing in front of my phone. And also I quite enjoy social media, actually posting photos on Instagram and Facebook and interacting with other people who are doing the same. Yeah.
Tell me about your adoption story.
Yes. So I was adopted as a baby. I was 3 months old only, from Seoul, Korea to Gothenburg, Sweden. And after I was born, apparently I had a foster mom, I think, in Korea, or that's what I've been told. So I grew up with her for the first 3 months, and then I flew in a plane with some other Korean adoptees to Gothenburg, and we were looked after by some carers on the plane. And then I arrived in Gothenburg in December 1977. And yeah, and my parents had been waiting for me for many years, so I was very welcome as a baby, and I was very loved. I had a wonderful childhood. They were very loving, and they were Christians, and yeah, I grew up in a nice part of Sweden. I mean, to be honest, most parts of Sweden are quite nice, but I grew up in Gothenburg, in a nice suburb there, and yeah, I had a very nice childhood and everything. So yeah, I think that's about my adoption story in a nutshell.
What would be the advice that you could give to make international and transethnic adoption better?
Well, the thing that springs to mind is more information. And I think really that it's important that the adoptive parents have information about the country that the child is coming from, that they are adopting from, and that they have information about the trauma that the child probably is coming with, because the child has been separated from his or her birth parents. And I mean, if you are like adoptive parents and you live in a quite prosperous country with no major problems, I mean, it might be easy, I guess, to just look at it from your own point of view, that you are wanting to have a child and you will now become parents for the first time, and things like that. But also, I think it's important that adoptive parents are made aware of the trauma that the adoptees have been through to get to this point, I guess. And also, I think it would be good if the adoptive parents could talk about the country that the adoptee was adopted from, and about the culture in that country a little bit, because when I grew up in Sweden, there was never any mention about Korea. I never ate any Korean food, never met any other Koreans, and I knew nothing about it. So I was brought up as if I was white Swedish like everyone else around me. And because there are so many Korean adoptees in Sweden, I think this is quite normal, and people don't raise an eyelid because they know it's very common to adopt children from Korea and China and other countries as well now. But in the 1970s, when I arrived, then Korea was the main country. So yeah, that's one thing I maybe would have liked a bit more of, that, yeah, to have a bit more of the Korean culture and just a bit more, I don't know, to have been able to meet maybe some more adoptees when I was growing up would have been nice. And also, obviously, I think it's very important that all of the adoptions that are done now are done legally and transparently, because I've heard horror stories about children who have been adopted, where what it says in their papers, in their official adoption papers, is not the correct information. And I've also heard information about where birth parents have been tricked into giving up their children for adoption for various reasons. And I think this is terrible. So I think really the process has to be really rigorous, and you really have to make sure that the birth parents know what they are doing and they are giving up their child for adoption. And also, I think personally that the first thing that should be done is to see if there is another way for the child to have a good life in the country of birth. I mean, adoption might not always be the best thing to do for the child. So yeah, I guess that's something that could be done.
What have you learned that you could share with others?
Well, I think it is to be proud of who I am, because when I was growing up, I was often a bit ashamed of being adopted, or I felt ashamed because I was different. And yeah, so I think really what I have learned now, after having lived in England for 20 years, I guess, is to be proud of who I am and my roots, and the fact that I am Swedish Korean. And that means that, I mean, I'm not 100% Swedish, although, I mean, in some ways I do feel Swedish. And also, I'm not 100% Korean either, even if I look Korean. But that I'm like a mixture. And also now living in a third country, it's like I have an element of the British culture as well. So yeah, and I think just being different and being who I am is, I guess, something that is quite unique, and it's something that I am not ashamed of. And I guess that's something I could also share with others and tell them that you are unique, whoever you are, wherever you were born, wherever you grew up, and wherever you live now.